And welcome back to another video with SirLucien, and we're back in Mechwarrior Online for an update video as a new patch just dropped today on the 19th of April. So today's patch is the 1.4.65 patch, also kind of has been known as the Clan Warfare 3 patch. CW3 is what we've been seeing quite a bit. Or Phase 3, Faction Play Phase 3 is what they have been naming it. So I thought I'd go over the patch notes real quick and just have you guys kind of sit with me. There's a lot to it. If you have been waiting for Clan Warfare stuff as far as to change from the current state that it's in, today is that day that it dropped. So let's go over some of the changes in the patch. Now, as I'm watching Steam, it just downloaded, so this patch should be live. I'm assuming the servers are up, although I have not logged in quite yet. And don't be surprised if, like all games, if there's a patch, there might be a hot fix here or there throughout the day or even throughout the rest of the week if some groundbreaking thing made it through QA and they didn't quite notice it. So there could be some hot patches and some fixes throughout the week. So just to reiterate, this is the patch notes for 1.4.65 released on April 19th, which is today. All right, so just going down the patch notes, because they're pretty big, and I'll just glean through them. Obviously, you can always go back through and check the details and check my own accuracy, because I'm just going to go off of how I read them and what I think is happening in these patch notes. And we're going to start with the new careers. So they have introduced 3 new careers. So you have the Freelancer, the Mercenary, and the Loyalist. So the difference between the 3 as I'm reading it is the Freelancer is your player, which currently at the moment I am, not a part of a mercenary group, not a part of a clan, not a part of any online organization, where you've met up, whatever you guys want to call it, whether they call it an outfit or a mercenary group or, a company or whatever. A guild, in most online games. A freelancer is a person who is not a part of those. So you're just a solo player, a single player who wishes to jump in and help in the clan warfare action. And actually, they kind of changed it from clan warfare. The nomenclature I'm seeing that they want to use is faction play, which makes sense because it's not really just clans, because you have a group that specifically is the clans, and then you have a group that's the inner sphere, and they all fight. It's not just inner sphere versus clan. It's definitely inner sphere versus inner sphere, clan versus clan, and then clan versus inner sphere, and so on. So they wanted to change that name to faction play. So it's factions that are fighting each other. Great households. Almost like in a previous video I was talking a little bit about, it's almost like the Game of Thrones, the great houses are struggling, in this universe. So it's a really kind of cool mechanic, and there's so much deep lore behind this game that they've been able to draw on and give us reasons to be fighting. They have a universe that they can take in, and there's a whole reason why you would want planets and the resources off those planets, and these factions would want to do these things. But let's get back to the game. That's the BattleTech talk. Let's get back to the Mechwarrior talk. So 3 careers. Freelancer. Freelancer is your single player that's not a part of a mercenary company, not a part of a loyalist company. And a mercenary and loyalist company are similar, but there are some differences, so we'll talk about that in just a moment. Your freelancers are pretty much, they just want to jump in, they just want to play around. It doesn't really matter which faction they fight for. They're in it for the money, typically, and they're just going to go out and get rewarded for being somebody who's out there. Now, how's that going to work? Well, freelancers are only eligible for receiving standard match rewards, which are provided as the base of their performance during a match. So, like, at the end of the match, you have your C-bills that you earned and your XP that you earned for the mech or mechs that you took into the battle, and that's based off your performance in the match. Now, previously in faction warfare, you could also earn faction loyalty points or other additional rewards, but this is just saying, so freelancers have the ability to get the regular standard mech rewards that are provided for being in the match. Nothing really extra there. Okay, so freelancers are not eligible for receiving additional mission payouts. Okay, so keep that in mind. The reason for that is that you're allowed to fight for anybody, anytime, anywhere, and you're not really restricted Nobody's telling you where to go or what to do. And for that freedom, you're getting just the mission payout. Also, freelancers can only participate in a battle by answering a urgent call to arms. And an urgent call to arms is set out by a faction when a match is going to start in the next 5 minutes, and the faction issuing the call is in need of pilots. So let's say a match is about to start. It gives quite a bit of time for other faction units to form up and get ready to fight them. If at some point that faction doesn't have enough people to fill that queue up, it's going to send out an urgent call to arms, and for 5 minutes, any freelancer can take one of those spots to help fill in. And that's going to keep those guys rotating through. Okay? So that's freelancers can respond to urgent call to arms. If a freelancer happens to create a unit, you immediately move into the other career path, which is the mercenary career path. And eventually, if you want to, you can also go into the loyalist career path at that point. So a freelancer, and there's some rules there you can read about if you join when you're a freelancer or when you're not a freelancer. How do you go from being a freelancer back and forth? I'll leave those in the notes for you to go ahead and find out, but that's pretty much what a freelancer does. So you might not get as quite a big a payout as, say, maybe the other people that are in the match that are maybe mercenary company career or loyalist career, but that's because you have the flexibility to fight for anybody anywhere. Okay? All right. The next career path is the mercenaries. And the mercenaries are basically the core forces that interfere. This is what really everything is kind of built around. Basically, they're operating in a unit structure. So mercenaries can be engaged in battle when they have forged a contract with a clan or intersphere faction. So mercenaries can sign a contract with either clan or intersphere faction, any of the ones they choose, and that's who they're going to fight for. Once a contract has been forged, it cannot be broken prematurely without disbanding the unit outright. Mercenaries are expected to see their commitment through to the end. Okay? So while mercenaries do not have the freedom of the freelancers and do not accumulate faction loyalty points, which we get to when a loyalist plays a match, they do have the potential to receive higher mission payouts through contract bonus incentive system and are able to accumulate mercenary reputation points. Okay, so there's two new mechanics here being added that could allow you to earn additional rewards for a match. All right, so the way the payouts work out, you're going to get the match rewards, which is C-bills and XP. Then you also have the ability to maybe pick up mercenary reputation points, and that goes through basically like a mercenary level. So you can have a rank within mercenaries, the mercenary reputation career. This is similar to if you've been playing the CW before, clan warfare before this, or we'll say faction warfare. Like I was playing in my earlier videos, I was in Steiner, so I was able to earn points towards Steiner, and they had ranks. So if I was like rank 1 in Steiner, they might give me a little bit of money. In rank 2 in Steiner, I might get a little bit of money and a free day of premium time or something. So there was all these kind of incentives to keep raising your rank within, any faction that you had chosen. So now there's one that's called the Mercenary, and you can see rank 1. You can earn 75,000 C-bills, and they'll give you a mech bay. That's great because those cost you money if you want them any other way. Rank 2, 150,000 C-bills and 7 days of active premium time. So getting to rank 2 in the mercenary representative reputation rank allows you to get these different rewards all the way up to, if you become rank 10, which I assume is very hard to do, may take some time, they're going to give you a 50 million C-bill payout and 2,500 MC, which is the only way you can get that is either through special events or buying it with real money. That's basically the mech credits, that you can use, or the gold, as you will, for this online game. So that's awesome that they're going to give you the ability to get to those, and you have, some progression levels that you can go through, rank 1 all the way up to rank 10. There's some stipulations on contracts and what you can or can't do The contracts last for a duration of 7 days, it looks like, and your financial benefits are going to be tied to the faction you choose during that 7 days. That's where we talk about the faction population bonus, where there's a screen that we're going to be able to see once we log in that shows us what the faction populations are. And it's going to show you a total percentage of all the mercenaries and loyalists that are in that faction. And then if you were to sign a contract with them, you're going to have varying amounts of money or payouts available to you depending on who you go with. The example they give in the notes here is that, let's say, just for pretend, 36% of the total mercenary groups and loyalist population is sitting in House Davian. And then 17% is in Kurata, and 5% is in Liao, and so on. So those higher ones, 17%, 36%, and 5%, they all may have an even bonus or even a negative bonus as far as, because they already have most of the mercenary companies, or they already have a large loyalist population. They're not needing other mercenaries to come sign for them. These other groups, so you don't see on that list, we might see Steiner, or we might see any, Clan Wolf, or Wolf Clan, or Bear, or Jade Falcon, or any of these ones. You may get a higher bonus to join them because they really need the reinforcements. They need those contracts to be able to fight, because all these other guys already have all these things. And that'll fluctuate as mercenary companies move from one group to another. These things will rotate around. You'll get different bonuses. So as a mercenary commander of a unit, you can go and look at these bonuses and say, okay, where do I want my company to go that's going to give us the money? You can still pick whatever you want. If you still want to go with, House Davian, that's who you want to go with, then you can. But this gives you some monetary incentive to go ahead and choose maybe some of those other factions based on getting a contract bonus. And the contract bonus is offered by the faction that you join. And they have a chart that shows you that to kind of give you an idea of what it might be like. Okay? So, pledging as the next thing you can do, you can go from the mercenary company, but then you can pledge a loyalist. So at any point during the contract period, mercenaries can exercise the option to pledge loyalty to their current contracted faction. Pledging loyalty mid-contract is not considered a breach of contract. Pledging loyalty to a faction as a unit leader will convert your unit from a mercenary unit to a loyalist unit. And all the members in your unit will have the chance right then when that happens to choose if you're going to stay with the unit or if you're going to leave the unit based on, what the leader of the unit is doing. Once you've pledged, you're no longer considered a contracted mercenary. You have forged the oath of loyalty and are now considered prospective loyalists. Mercenaries who pledge loyalty mid-contract are still required to complete the standard 10-match probation period associated with pledging to loyalty. You have to go through 10 matches first, where you get no extra rewards whatsoever to prove your loyalty to the faction you're pledging to. Once you've done that, and really what Loyalist is about is those long-term, those RP-style mercenary companies that are out there. The guys that are like, we're Davian and only Davian. We're Jade Falcon and we're only Jade Falcon. That's what we're all based around. That's who we're going to fight for all the time. That's Loyalists. These are people who are not going to change once a week or even once a month or anything like that. These are the long-termers. It's not that you couldn't change. Maybe you have a long-term goal and for a year you're going to stay in one group and then maybe you're going to switch after that. Then Loyalist might be a way you could go, because there are some penalties for breaking that Loyalist contract. Okay, and those are in the patch notes if you want to go ahead and go through those. There's a probation period to go through. They get payouts and rewards, so they get the match rewards. They get C-bills, XP, and they get loyalty points towards their faction. And then they have mission payouts where they might get additional C-bills and additional loyalty points based on things that are happening in the match. Okay, so they have a whole new ranking system for faction loyalty, and that's going to be rank 1 through 20 in those whatever faction it might be. And if you're a loyalist, those are loyalist points, and that's the only way you can get those points. And just to give you an idea, like just rank 1, they're going to give you a 50,000 C bill payout, and they're going to give you 500 GXP, which is just general XP that goes towards either pilot skills or mech skills if you want. So that's pretty good just for being rank 1. All the way, if you happen to get all the way down to rank 20 within your faction, again, you're talking about a 50 million C bill payout, a 50,000 general XP payout, and 2,500 MC, which again is the in-game gold or the mech credits that you can use to buy things that you couldn't normally get unless you participate in, say, special events, tournaments, buying it online, buying packages and things like that. Okay. Loyalists are the only career with the ability to participate in the war planning feature. The war planning feature is a way to vote from all the people that are within a faction that are loyalists to say who are we going to attack or who is going to be our focus of our attack for a certain period or an attack cycle, which they show in the patch notes as being a 24-hour period. Okay, so each loyalist pilot can cast one war planning vote with the faction per attack cycle. Then they talk a little bit about desertion. What happens if you desert? Well, you will remain under the banner of your faction until the end of your desertion phase. You will not be eligible for participating in war planning. You will lose 25% of your loyalty points you have accumulated with the faction you are deserting. You will not receive any loyalty points from missions for your faction, and you will receive a 25% reduction to C-bill earnings from missions for your faction. Okay, so there is a penalty for desertion. And I believe there's a period, too. There's, the 7-day period at which you are basically labeled as a deserter. All right. So those are the 3 careers that we just talked about. So just to recap on that, there is the soloist or the freelancer, okay, the official name. Basically, your company groups or your guilds, basically you can think of it that way, is your mercenary career path and your mercenary units. And then your loyalists and your loyalist units. Okay, so those are the 3 career paths that you can go down. Now, some other changes that we have that come in with this patch. Faction play queue system. This is a big one and was talked about in their Q&A and their town hall meeting. That's I was trying to think of the name of what they called that, the town hall meeting. The faction play solo queue is comprised of the following players. So faction play solo queue is freelancers or solo loyalists. So you could pledge by yourself, not in a company, to a faction, and you would be basically a solo loyalist, which means when you queue up, you should be in matches with either freelancers or other solo loyalists. Okay? The faction play unit queue is going to comprise mercenary units and unit members, loyalist units and unit members, and faction play groups. In order to join a faction play group, you must be aligned to the same faction as the members of the group. A faction play group can be comprised of players from different units, so long as they all align to the same faction. So that would be, let's say 12 loyalists got together and created a group. That would shift them into the faction play group. And in fact, it doesn't even say what size group. So it could be you could have 5 loyalist players who are solo loyalists, but in the same faction. Let's say they're in Davian. And in Davian, they decide, hey, we're going to jump in the queue, but we want to be in the group queue. So they're a group of 5, and they're going to get loaded in with other mercenary units, loyalist units, and faction play groups. Okay? So basically, groups are going to fight groups, and solo players are going to fight solo players. That's a big difference in the faction play queue system. Talks a little bit about units and member management. You can jump into that if you're running a unit. I totally expect that you'll be reading these notes if you're in charge of a unit. Rank management, unit coffers, spoils of war, distribution. Why are we fighting? What is the purpose in the long run? Well, now you're starting to earn spoils of war for your, basically they call it the C-bill coffer for your units. And those units can use those C-bill coffers for a couple of ways. Right now, the 2 ways they're being used is basically you can use C-bills to purchase tickets, which allow people to join your unit because it costs there's a certain C-bill payout that you have to pay each time you want somebody to join your unit. And the more people you have, the higher that number gets. So it makes sense that you want to make sure that you're making the money to go ahead and be able to add more people to your unit. And now you can earn MC, so mech credits, or again, the online gold, with your unit. And that can then be paid out to members within the unit itself. So that's a very interesting change. And that I could see could drive a lot of unit commanders to be really serious about this whole thing. Okay, so all that's in there. They have a nice little chart about unit recruitment costs. So like if your unit, if you own a unit and you're the only one in it and you want to invite somebody, it's going to cost you 50,000 C-bills. Let's say you've got it all the way up to 100 people in your mercenary company or unit. It's going to be 5 million C-bills to add a person. So as you can see, it could be pretty expensive to add some people in here. So you're definitely going to need that money in those coffers. Now there are some rules and how they're going to be. How do you occupy a planet? Planet reinforcements. I'm not going to go over that in this video. That's going to be really specific to the clan warfare units that are playing it, and I'm assuming the only people that are going to be able to affect this for the most part are the heads or the leaders or the main organizers of those big units that are doing those kinds of things, and they're definitely going to read these patch notes to know how everything's going on, what planet values are and that. So let's move on to another big piece. Now tied into this, faction warfare, tied into this is a new game mode. So we got this new game mode called Scouting in the section of the patch notes dealing with scouting missions as they relate to faction play as a whole. So we have now, the primary goal of scouting missions is to acquire intel from planets under contest. Acquiring intel from contested planets will provide your invasion force with access to powerful planetary advantages for use in the standard invasion game modes, where the true fate of a planet is determined. Now, a scout drop is a 4-on-4 drop. You use the same mech lineup that you do for your invasion force. The difference is only in the very first spot, the very leftmost first spot of your what they call like a drop deck, okay, is going to be your scouting mech. And it has to be somewhere between 20 tons and 55 tons. So that first slot needs to be a 20 to 55 ton mech for you to be allowed to drop into a scouting drop, okay? They talk about each planet in the inner sphere holds a total of 600 intel points. Once a planet is under contest, a scouting mission becomes available. Those 600 intel points are evenly split between the attacker and the defenders. Each scouting victory will allocate more intel points for the winning team on that planet, unlocking planetary advantages at specific thresholds. Okay, so that's what we're fighting over. That's what we're trying to do. What is the actual, what's actually happening here? I think it's a little bit, let me go down and find that for you. New game mode, here we go. All right, so the new scouting game mode is comprised of 2 district types, scouting and counter scouting. Teams assume the role of either the attacker or the defender and must contend for control over the data points scattered throughout the map. As scouting matches are all 4v4, scouting matches actually take place on the quick play maps. They do not use the standard faction play maps. Victory conditions. The attacker must escape through the extraction zone with at least 1 data point in your possession. Only 1 attacker needs to escape in order to achieve this victory. Okay? Defenders eliminate all attackers or prevent their escape. Okay? I think there's a timeout feature to that. If they don't get to the extraction zone in time, you're able to deny them that. That's another way, but mostly you're trying just to eliminate them. Okay, each scouting match is populated with a total of 20 data points scattered randomly throughout the map. There are up to 40 possible data point locations on each map, so the exact locations of the 20 data points will vary match to match. Okay? Capture a data point requires that a mech stand within its 75-meter capture radius for 3 seconds. If an enemy mech also enters into that radius, the capture timer will freeze. It doesn't say anything about if you're taking fire. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. Once a data point has been captured, it becomes permanently inactive, and that data point is allotted to the capturing team. If the mech who captured the data point is destroyed, their team still retains that data point. While attackers will want to maximize the amount of intel they can receive from a successful scouting mission by capturing as many data points as they can, they only need to escape through the extraction zone with one data point in order to win. Transit countdown. A 2-minute transit countdown heralds the approach of the attacker dropship. This is what's going to help them evac out of the area. Their means of egress from the battlefield, as it says here in the notes. Once the transit countdown begins, a dropship landing zone will appear on the map in one of 4 possible locations. Only the attackers will see that location, but it will be marked with smoke. So it's not going to be marked on your mini-map as a defender, but you are going to be able to visually understand it if you happen to come across it. When the transit countdown expires, the dropship will arrive at the designated landing zone to facilitate the evacuation of the attackers. There are 3 circumstances under which the transit countdown can be triggered. If the attacker captured at least 10 data points, then it's triggered. If the defenders capture at least 11 data points, it's triggered. If the match timer reaches 3 minutes and the countdown has not already begun, then it will be triggered. Okay? Boarding the dropship. So once the transit countdown expires, the dropship will arrive at its destination and maintain a holding pattern above the marked area. The dropship will be fully equipped with its standard weapon systems and freely engage enemy forces when they come within range. When the dropship arrives, it will establish an extraction zone on the ground and a 1-minute extraction timer will begin. It is the extraction zone that the attackers must return to in order to infiltrate the boarding procedure. Only one of the attackers needs to be inside in order to initiate boarding and win the match, and their team need only possess at least 1 data point. If an enemy mech enters the extraction zone, the extraction timer will freeze, regardless of how many attackers are also present. The match ends when the extraction timer expires, regardless of how much time is still remaining in the match. Any attacker within the extraction zone, when the extraction timer expires, are considered to have escaped. Any remaining attackers who did not escape are considered destroyed. So, as you can tell, a whole new 4v4 match. This is basically lance on lance combat. This is going to be something that's very, very, very interesting. Something I can't wait to dive into. And I'm sure I'm going to have plenty of videos in the next few weeks on some of this, on this game mode and how I like it or don't like it, or what I like about it, what I don't like about it, all these different things. All right, anything else in the patch notes that we need to know about? The tournament support pack is out there. You can buy a support pack, which helps them pay for their tournament and increase the payout of their tournaments. So that's something, if you want to help donate towards that, you might take a look at. There's some gameplay fixes. In Zoom, this is a big one. This was it's not big, but it's a big non-faction warfare item. Fixed an issue where Zoom and view modes were waiting for server response before activating and deactivating. It is now client side instead of server side. So that should make zooming a lot better, or the idea of going between the zoom modes should be a lot better. There's been some weapon tuning, AMS overload module, Intersphere PPC heat generation reduced from 10 to 9.5. Took off 0.5 from our PPC. Velocity increased from 1100 meters per second to 1200 meters per second. Interesting. ERPPC went down from 15 down to 14 heat. Lots of heat being generated there. But goes up from a 1200 meters per second up to a 1300 meters per second. Clan ERPPC, same thing. 15 down to 14 as far as heat generation. And 12K or 1.2K up to 1.3. So basically an increase of 100 milliseconds. LB10X was changed. We got a spread reduced. So it was at a 1.3 meters. It is now a 0.9. That's going to be a very directed shotgun shell. That could make those a little bit more nastier. And there are some changes to the clan LBX also. So the 2s, the 5s, the 10s, and the 20s. There was a bunch of quirk changes, and there's a big PDF that you can go ahead and see them. Some of the mechs that were changed: Black Knight, which I'll go check because that's one of my favorite mechs. Catapult, Commando, Firestarter, Griffin, Hunchback, another one of my favorite mechs. Jenner, King Crab, Locust, Spider, Thunderbolt, Urban Mech, and Vindicator all have some quirk changes. So we'll go and take a look. We won't take a look in this patch notes. I recommend that if you're running any of those Inner Sphere mechs that you go ahead and check them and see what's been changed. There is a PDF also that outlines that. There were some also clan changes if you're running an Adder, Ice Ferret, Kit Fox, Mad Dog, Mist Lynx, Nova, or Shadowcat. Couple of changes to Domination game mode. So remember, Domination game mode came out in our last patch. So just a couple of changes here. Alpine Peaks capture point is now located at the frozen lake near the bottom of the map. Spawn points have been adjusted accordingly. Crimson Strait spawn points on non-dock side have been moved closer. Forest Colony capture point has been moved up onto Central Hill. Spawn points are closer, and spawn points from behind the mountains on either side have been moved. Viridian Bog, the eastern team's spawn point, has been moved slightly further. Clicking the Domination Score HUD in the escape screen will now reveal a dialogue explaining the Score HUD components. Inner Sphere HUD only. Don't know why that's not clan, but okay. Conquest game changes, HP Manifold, fixed an issue where players could capture Theta from above, fixed an issue where players could capture Theta from below. That's on Terra Firma. Private match. Oh, they fixed some of the test maps that they've been running, the 1v1, 2v2, 4v4, and the 4v4-2. I got to play on one of those, and they are an interesting map. They'll be interesting to see how they come out and what they're going to use them for. They feel like more of an arena map, so maybe like the Solaris kind of stuff that we've been hearing about. End of a round reward booster. Mechs now available for C-builds. The Marauder you can now buy for C-builds. That's a good mech. I might be picking up a Marauder for some C-builds, so that's a good one. Lots of map fixes and changes. These are little things like, getting stuck on crystals or moving little hills or floating rocks or those kinds of things. They touched on things like Grimplexus, HP Manifold, Sephiroth Rift, River City. Tourmaline Desert had a few changes. I don't think they're anything big, just small changes where, mechs might be getting tripped up or stuck. Mech fixes. Firestarter fixed an issue where the cockpit glass was not rendering. A lot of these have to do with the cockpit glass and hanging items conflicting with those kinds of things. Anything important in there? Panther fixed an issue where ballistic weapons were missing textures on certain patterns. Okay. Stalkers fixed a Warhorn issue. Other fixes and changes. Unit member list can now be sorted by pilot name, player rank, or status. Any of those three. Let's take a look. Just browsing through some of these other areas. Fixed an issue where players could be unable to assign unit rank privileges. Okay, joining a unit. Fixed an issue where Alt F4ing during the dropship mech select screen could cause issues with rejoin. Okay. Fix some voice over IP stuff. Mounted cockpit items we're fine with, and there's still some known issues out there. Faction and mercenary rank titles will not display on your website forum profile. They know that's an issue. Faction loyalty rank title may appear incorrectly after rejoining a faction you deserted from in the past. Something they'll still be working on. Mercenary rank titles will all display only as mercenary while in a match. Okay. There's currently no method for a unit to locate its claimed planets. So you just have to know which ones they are or go look for them. So those are the patch notes. So simple, quick, at the end recap. We've got 3 new careers. We've got a whole new faction warfare rollout. We've got lots of things for those factions to do, whether you're freelancer, mercenary, or loyalist. We've got lots of new ways to earn rewards within that system. And we've got a few tweaks here with maps, mechs, and such. Pretty big patch is, I mean, it's only 215 megs. I thought I saw it said 300 when I did the download. But still not too big. We didn't get any new mechs or anything like that, so we didn't have any new content there. That's coming up, I'm sure, in the next patches. But that is it for your 1.4.65 patch being released here on April 19th. It is up, it is running, and it is ready to go, and I'm going to go jump in. So hope you enjoyed the video. Definitely go and check I'll put the link in the description so you can get to where the patch notes are if you want to read them yourself, and I recommend that you do. Thank you for joining. Hope you subscribe. Hope you like the channel. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.